All right, let's dive in. The AI market is absolutely on fire, and by 2026, it's going to be a whole different ballgame. For anyone investing, it really feels like a modern-day gold rush. But the huge question is, how do you sift through the hype and find the real winners? Today, we're going to use something called the AI stack as our map to figure out where the smart money is actually going. And when I say gold rush, I am not kidding. Just look at this number. That's the gain that data analytics company Palantir has racked up in just 3 years. I mean, come on. That kind of insane growth is exactly why everyone, and I mean everyone, has their eyes glued to AI stocks. So this brings us to the big question, right? When you see numbers like Palantir's, it's so easy to feel like you've already missed the boat. But here's the thing. This revolution is just getting started. The key isn't to chase what's already happened. It's knowing where to look next. You can't just throw a dart at a company with AI in its name. You need a real strategy. And this is our strategy map for today. We're going to break down the entire AI market into its core layers, what we call the AI stack. We'll start at the very bottom with the hardware, then move up to the infrastructure that supports it all, then the software on top, and finally we'll talk about the price you have to pay for all this progress. Okay, first up, let's get to the foundation of the stock. This is the hardware layer. And the best way to think about these companies is that they're the ones selling the picks and shovels during the gold rush. They are making the actual physical silicon that powers every single AI model on the entire planet. Look, you just can't have a conversation about AI hardware without talking about NVIDIA. Their GPUs are quite literally the engines driving this whole thing. And what's really exciting is what's coming next, their Rubin platform, which they say will make it 10 times cheaper to run AI models. But here's the real kicker. Despite their total dominance, the stock is trading at about 24 times their expected future earnings. For a company at the absolute center of the AI universe, that's surprisingly reasonable. But hold on, NVIDIA isn't the only game in town. AMD is stepping up as a very serious challenger. Just look at this breakdown. Their next-gen MI400 chip is designed to go toe-to-toe with NVIDIA's new stuff. And while they're matching on speed, AMD is trying to win on size and scale, packing in more memory and making it easier to link thousands of these chips together. That is a huge deal for the massive data centers being built right now. So here's the secret sauce. Whether you're betting on NVIDIA or you're betting on AMD, it doesn't matter. Both of them have to go to one and only one company to actually create their most advanced chips. And that company is ASML. You could call them an indispensable monopoly. They are the only company on Earth that makes these incredibly complex EUV machines. Without ASML, the entire AI hardware race just stops. Okay, so we've got the chips. Awesome. But where do they all go? Well, that brings us to the next layer up in our stack, the infrastructure. This is all about the giant data centers and cloud platforms where AI models actually live, learn, and scale up to serve millions of us. Now, a really fascinating player to watch here is Nebius. They're a newcomer, but they're offering the whole shebang, from hardware to software. And they've already landed massive customers like Meta and Microsoft. Their growth forecast is just staggering. They're aiming for up to $9 billion in revenue by the end of 2026. The catch? Yeah, there's a catch. You're paying a serious premium for that growth. The stock trades at a whopping 59 times its sales. And if you want to understand why the valuation is so high, just look at their expansion plans. At the end of 2025, they had 170 megawatts of capacity. By the end of 2026, their target is up to a full gigawatt. That's almost a 6-fold increase in a single year. This right here is a perfect snapshot of the global data center arms race that's happening as we speak. And now we get to climb to the top of the stack, the part most of us actually interact with, the software. These are the companies taking all that incredible hardware and infrastructure and using it to build the actual brains of the operation, the apps that solve real problems for businesses and governments. Which brings us right back to Palantir. This is why their stock went nuts. They're so deeply woven into the fabric of some of the world's most powerful organizations. We're not talking about small pilot programs. We're talking about a potential $10 billion deal with the US Army, a massive expansion of their flagship military AI system, and billions of dollars in future revenue already locked in. They're becoming less of a software vendor and more like critical infrastructure. But, and you knew there was a but coming, all that amazing growth and those jaw-dropping contracts come at a price. Palantir stock trades at 115 times its sales. That is an incredibly steep price, even for a company growing this fast. And hey, don't just take my word for it. As Adam Spitaco from The Motley Fool puts it, that frothy valuation is the #1 concern on Wall Street. And that really captures the dilemma here, right? It's a phenomenal business, but the stock is priced for absolute flawless perfection for years to come. Okay, so for a completely different kind of software story, let's look at Twilio. By plugging AI into their communication tools, they've managed to more than triple their customer growth rate in just 1 year. You can see it right here. That is some serious acceleration. And this is where it gets really interesting. Remember Palantir's 115 times sales? Well, Twilio trades at just 3.6. It's also cheaper than the average tech stock on the NASDAQ. So what you have here is another company using AI to fuel its growth, but it looks much more like a potential value play instead of a high-flying, high-risk bet. So let's tie this all together. We've seen the foundational picks and shovels, we've seen the massive infrastructure being built, and we've seen the powerful software on top. And the one thing that connects all of them is this constant tug of war between world-changing innovation and some pretty eye-watering valuations. This table really just says it all, doesn't it? On one end of the spectrum, you've got Palantir trading way up in the stratosphere at 128 times its expected earnings. And on the other end, you have the hardware giants like AMD and NVIDIA with multiples that are, well, a lot more down to earth. The difference is just stark. So what's the bottom line here? It's pretty simple, actually. The AI revolution is 100% real. It is a generational shift in technology. That part is not up for debate. But as an investor, you have to accept that the market knows this and has priced some of these stocks for years and years of perfect execution. And that leaves us with the final big question for you to think about. As you look ahead to 2026, where do you place your bet? Do you go for the foundational, reasonably priced hardware, the picks and shovels of the revolution? Or do you chase the explosive but very expensive potential of the software gold? The answer to that question will probably define the next wave of winners in the AI market.